Hello. So we have a webcam video camera today, so new development, all expense spared. So we're looking at Craigslist. Craigslist all around the world. You can get it in the UK, and the one we're looking at is in America, and we're looking at real estate. So if that's of interest, we want to scrape Craigslist New York for property. And what I've done is I've created two spiders, and I've used Items.py, and I'll show you why in a minute. But what I've done is I've written the most basic spider. We're not even crawling to the lower pages yet. We're just collecting date, title, price, hood, neighborhood, for those of you who don't speak American, link, and we're printing them to the screen, and then we are storing those as items, which will then get sent to the pipeline, which will then be used to output to CSV or JSON or whatever you choose. So the most basic spider you could write, and we're looking at all the adverts, and we're picking out these values for each time they occur within p.result-info. So let's run that, and I'm going to bring up my Ubuntu machine, and I just thought I'd show this off to you today as well. It's Neofetch, which is kind of, I installed it on my Raspberry Pi, and then I thought I might as well install it on here as well. So just sudo apt-get Neofetch, something like that. I'll put the details in the description. Neofetch, there you go. OS, host, kernel, uptime, packages, shell, resolution, known, memory. That might be one to keep an eye on if you're a bit pushed for memory. Anyway, I digress. Let's go to, that's my scrapy shell, which I've been using to test my selectors. Anyway, right, so we want to run the real estate, not the real estate loader, we just want to run the real estate spider, which is the one that you've just seen here. And let's run that full screen. So scrapy crawl real estate dash o output to output.csv. Now, why have I done this instead of run it from the actual code? Well, I'm trying to adhere to the standard scrapy practices here, because I just want to illustrate the use of items and ItemLoader today without going off piece too much or doing anything too customized. So if you're ready, let's go. All looks good. Debug, log count, items scraped, 120. Yep, that looks good. So we've printed to the screen each of those variables. So yep, date, hood, link, price, title. Okay, so I think we're fairly confident that has worked. Let's just go and, apologies, I might have to just hunt around for the CSV file now. It's nested quite deep, but we'll find it. And here we go, inside spiders. So let's have a look at it in LibreOffice. You can open it in Excel if you want, there's no rules. So I think I've how many have we got here? Yeah, 240. So I forgot to delete it first, so I've still got the results from the first time I ran it. And what is going on here? What's happened is I've added in an additional column. to show you and to illustrate adding a value. So there we can see that empty column which is empty. So we'll get to that in a second. Let's just close that and delete it. It's nice in Atom, you can just do that, look. Delete, go. Right. What happened there was it collected all of these selectors and it sent them across to items, and it populated these containers which then got transferred to the output file. Miscellaneous, that's one that I've just added this morning, and that's why you saw the empty column on column C, I believe. So that's the most basic scraper. Now let's look at real estate underscore loader. What's different? Well, I've commented out, I've left the old code here, which is what we've just run. And the difference being is that we're using an item loader. Now, once you use that, you are then able to potentially use the output processors, and that can be useful. Either way, whether you do it this way or the first way I showed, you can still use the same items .py. So if you were doing a real estate spider for Craigslist in New York, if you were doing one in London, if you were doing one in Hong Kong, wherever, you might have 10 spiders, and each of those 10 spiders could use the same containers, the same scrapy fields. So you'd only have one items.py file. Everything would get sent to there before it got output to the CSV. Okay, so let's run this one. The difference being, instead of just creating basic dictionary items, items date, items title, items price, we've created a loader object. So here we have to import from scrapy.loader, import ItemLoader, and still using the same CSS selector to identify all of the adverts, and then we loop through all of the adverts. So for adverts, in all of the adverts, loader equals ItemLoader. The item is Craigslist item, which is this. It's the name of the class. So we instantiate that class, and then the selector is ads. So the selector is the thing that you will then use to uniquely identify each iteration. Response equals response. So loader.add_CSS. If you're using XPath, it would be loader.add_XPath. And date, and then whatever the CSS selector is. When I was collecting the CSS, I actually used, let me just show you, I'll drag across here in a second. I used SelectorGadget, which I don't know if it's still maintained very often or not, but let's just show you that. So, no, that doesn't look like housing swap, but anyway, SelectorGadget, and then if you hover over the thing you want the selector for, and if you want to, if you select too many things within your selector, you can clear it down here. So if I wanted to uniquely identify this link here, there we go, and I have clicked on it, just hold down Control. And HDR link. So you can then use that to uniquely identify the link for each advert. And to deselect it, hold down Control, it goes red, and then click, and it's deselected it. And you've got clear down here. So SelectorGadget for Chrome. There we go. Okay, so let's run the second spider. So you saw me run the first, which you can see the output for there. And now let's just run real estate underscore spider. I've deleted the original output CSV, but let's just call it something different to, let's call it output 2, just so we know there's no nothing going on. And why is that spider not found? Wow, bet you didn't think you'd be seeing that. Spider not found, why is that? Let's try and fix that, shall we? Real estate underscore spider. What have we done? Real estate loader. So when you run Scrapy from the command line, you need to call it by the name that you've given assigned to it when you instantiated, well, when you created the class. So let's go back, and we want to run real estate underscore loader, and off we go. That's better. And that ran fine, and there we can see the output here, just the same as the first time we ran it. 120 items scraped, yep. And let's go and see what the file looks like. And then after that, if that's worked, I will just quickly show you how to add values as opposed to just adding CSS or just adding XPaths. Or rather, the output from the XPath or the CSS. Okay, date, HUD, some missing there. They've not been added onto the advert. Link, title, price. Yeah, date. That could be reformatted to include the month and the year and so on. So I'm happy with that. As I say, in the next video I'm going to collect the geodata because that is available. I'll show you where that is in case anybody wants to skip ahead. It is, if you go onto the actual advert itself, right click, view source, and if you look up here, line 17, geo position, and pardon me for getting them which way round, I don't know, but yeah, one's longitude, one's latitude. There we go. So I hope I've just given a little demonstration of 2 ways of using items. The third way I'll show in a future video, possibly the next one. That will be where I also use processors, which you may have also seen before in a previous video. But just for completeness, I will redo this spider and I will use processors to do something with the text. Right, one last thing. Let's have a look at adding a value. So if we go back to, it makes no difference which one we do it on. Let's do it on this one then, shall we? So loader dot add underscore value, and then it was lowercase miscellaneous, yeah. Miscellaneous, and what do we want to add? Let's just call it demo, and whatever we put here will appear in every row of that column, if that makes sense. and just make sure I've saved that with the addition of the scrapy field. So you can add as many fields as you want in here. So we could have miscellaneous too, and we could use loader.addValue, loader.addCSS, and add some more CSS. I don't know what else we could pick out. Maybe the image, yeah, the image source potentially. So let's run it, and I just want to delete. And I'm just going to call it 3 just because I can, and it will just keep it neat and tidy. And here you see, so we've scraped date, hood, link, miscellaneous. So it's a very good way to add additional data that you want included in your output file. Simple as that. So I hope this has been interesting. So to recap, I've shown the most basic form where we create items that we then use to put into a dictionary or JSON file. I've shown, or a CSV, and I've shown how to use loader. So from scrapy.loader, so we add that, and then what else is new? We create a loader object, and just down at the end, you may not have seen, yield loader.load_item. So after it's populated all of the containers in items, it then yields back, and then it repeats itself again for the next property advert. And as you saw, it did 120. And then we could then put in code to handle the pagination, or go to the details page, which I will do in a future video. Also, as a challenge, I challenge you to rewrite this. I'll put the code in the description. I challenge you to rewrite this using XPath. You don't have to do that as an XPath necessarily, but I challenge you to rewrite all of these as an XPath. There you go. A Dr. Pi challenge, whatever next. So, hope this has been interesting. I'll be back soon with some more stuff for you.